Right. Welcome TV Land. Again, I'm Bishop Ronald K. Harrison Jr. We are in Shabbat service already. We're here at 118 Cheney Avenue, Jacksonville, North Carolina, 28540. Time of service is we're in Shabbat at 11:30. We got Yahuwah study instruction of Torah on Yom Revi starting at 7. And beginning of Shabbat on Yom Revi and at 7 o'clock. All right, again, I welcome you to the house of Yah. And it's a great time to be in this place on the Shabbat day. The Creed of Bethel is Ephesians 4:5. We believe one Yah, one faith, one baptism. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20. Our foundation built upon the apostles and the prophet Yahushua the Mashiach. Yahushua the Mashiach is the chief cornerstone. That's the foundation of Bethel. You know, if you got any problems with what we teach, you do not understand what we teach, or you need to know what the times of service again, or you just want to talk to me about some things, the number here at Bethel is 910-388-5295. And my phone number, Bishop phone number is 910-381-3056. All right, again, excuse me for sitting down. I just had surgery 2 weeks ago with my knee. I'm still trying to rest my knee and get my knee back in order. All right, we're ready to start our Sabbath day opening scriptures. Today is the Shabbat, and we do talk about the Sabbath. We do go with scriptures, because a lot of people don't understand why we keep Shabbat. A lot of people say we keep the laws, which that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? Shabbat is a command. Yahuwah commanded us to keep the Shabbat. There ain't no law. He tell us to do this. We do this to reverence Him. We do this to be obedient to Him. And I always think about Yeshua said, if you love me, Yeshua said this, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. You know, and that's like y'all telling you, you love me, you'll keep my commandments. You know, and like Yahushua said, even as I kept my Father's commandments. Yahushua said that. So we have anybody who want to speak Shabbat today?
I have one.
All right, Sister Sue, go ahead.
Okay. I was actually going to read this one last night, but then you went to the one dying off. So I'm going to the New Testament today. So the Mark, chapter 2, verses 23 to 28. And it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Shabbat day, and his disciples began, as they went, to pluck the ears of corn. And the Pharisees said unto him, Behold, why do they on the Shabbat day that which is not lawful? And he said unto them, Have ye never read what David did when he had need, and he was an hungered, he and they that were with him? How he went into the house of Yah in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and did eat the shewbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priests, and gave also to them which were with him. And he said unto them, The Shabbat was made for man, and not man for Shabbat. Therefore the Son of Man is Elohim also of the Shabbat.
Along with that, I like that what it says Elohim is also, you know, the Son of Man is Elohim also of Shabbat. You let them know right there, which they thought he was blaspheming. You know, blasphemy means you make yourself as Yah. Yahushua said, I am Yah. Me and my Father is one. He kept on stating that. And they were picking up stones, ready to stone him. And Yahuwah got out of the way. Yahushua always got out of the way and stuff, man. They said, we don't stone you for the good works, man. Like that in John, Yuccanan. He stoned you because you make yourself as Yah, which he's not lying. He is Yah. You understand that Yahuwah cannot lie. Yahuwah cannot sin. Yahushua cannot sin. You know, Yahushua was our atonement. If we sin, we will be in our sin right now today. You know, we be in vain worshiping him right now. You know, because we ain't cleansed. But Yahushua did not sin, and he's saying that Yahuwah, he says, therefore, he says the Son of Man is Elohim also on Shabbat day. Let's go to Matthew 12:8. I'm trying to look at this one verse real quick. Anybody else got any Shabbat scriptures? All right. It's the same one, I guess. Yeah. Okay, let's go to 12, verse 1 and down. At the time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and the disciples were hungry and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, thy disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Shabbat day. But he said unto them, Have you not read what David did when he was a hunger, and they did with him? How he entered into the house of Yah, and did eat the shewbread which was not lawful for him to eat, neither from them which were with him, but only the priests. Or have you not read in the law how that on Shabbat day the priests in the temple profane the Shabbat and are blameless? And that's the scripture I want y'all to look right there. People don't understand that. We are priests. Right here. How is that the Levites how did the Levites profane the Shabbat day? They profane the Shabbat every Shabbat. You know how they was profaning the Shabbat day? They were beating Yahuwah. They were doing sacrifices on the Shabbat day. They had to get the animals right. They had to make sure the animals weren't blemished. They had to cut the animals up. They had to get the firewood. They had to clean the utensils, man, on Shabbat day. And that's why he was telling them. But we are priests. If we on Shabbat day doing anything on Shabbat day, Yeshua said do what's good on the Shabbat day. He didn't tell you go out and work money, make money for yourself. He didn't tell you go lodge around and do pleasure things on the Shabbat day for yourself. He said do good on the Shabbat day. Now if I'm working here on the Shabbat day to keep the temple open right here on the Shabbat day, I'm right here still keeping the Shabbat day, and right after the Shabbat day, I got a job I'm doing real quick, and I'm putting money back in this tithe box to keep it open. I'm doing good on Shabbat day. I'm honoring him on the Shabbat day. I'm working for Yahuwah. I'm working for Yahuwah. Just like me and Ellie King was talking about Sister Sue, that she was doing things on Shabbat day. She was doing the fundraisers with the Yahuwah shirts and Jesus shirts at the flea market. Then she would listen to the service. She was doing things for Bethel. She was working on Shabbat, but she was a priest doing things on Shabbat day. She was doing work. She wasn't working for herself. All that money that she did was going to the house of Yah. You know, I understand, man. You go out there and start working on Shabbat day. You don't put nothing in the house of Yah. You don't even come get Yah the praise. You don't come see your face. You go get up in the morning, go work, and come back and go back to your own thing. That's working for yourself. Now you working, whereas you working for Caesar, and Caesar say you got to be here. You go to work because Caesar tell you you already made a contract. That's before he knew you about keeping the Shabbat day. You go work for Caesar, but once you got for Caesar, you run into the house of Yah to work. Then that's honorable right there. The honor Yahuwah forgive you because you already made a contract with Caesar before you knew about the Shabbat day. Now, but if Caesar asks you to work, you know, it's on your decision, your discretion. But most likely, you're gonna say, no, I got to do Shabbat. But like I said, if it's some emergency where you can't really do nothing about it, and then you're the only one doing that job, that's kind of understandable. That okay, this one time, okay, you know, because the job wise, that's just showing favor and just showing your testimony of who you are. You know what I'm saying? But we don't pray that stuff like that happens, but stuff do like that happens. But I'm just saying that as the priest wise, the priests worked on Shabbat day, man. They profaned it every time. Then like Yahushua said, y'all even do circumcision on the Shabbat day to keep the commands of Yah. You know, these are only things of y'all's of Yah. Now you doing things of yourself, it's sin. If you ain't doing anything for Yahuwah, if you're doing things for Yahuwah, it's not a sin on Shabbat day. That's what they're talking about. Disciples eating, they're walking with Yeshua. They walk with Yah himself. And you know, even Yahuwah is eating, man. Plucking. You got to feed the vessel. You're a temple of the Most High. You got to eat. And they was keeping the Shabbat day. There was him with the word himself. The word was with y'all. The word was y'all. Don't give me up here preaching. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't wrong for them why they're plucking ears, the ears of corn, and why it's with the Mashiach. Because they were with the priests. And he told them about King David, how the true bread was only for the Levites. But they didn't understand that David was anointed. He was Kaddish. He had the right to eat that shewbread. You know, but it was after the 3 days. They threw it after the third day. They threw the shewbread into fire. They burned it up. You know. Then I like this. How he asked them, the men were defiled. They were clean. Think about that. The men were on fasting for 3 days. You know, they were with no women or nothing. They were clean. Think about that. Clean. Enough to eat the shewbread. So, just like us, we come before Yahuwah clean through Yahusha on the Shabbat day. Now, to do work, we don't work on Shabbat day. Unless we have to. Only time you work on your Shabbat day, unless you honor him. You know what I'm saying? Just like Yahusha said, if your cattle was in the ditch, you go get your cattle out of the ditch. Because, hey, you don't leave your cattle out of your ditch. That was your hunger out of it. You had to go get them. Like Elder Ishmael said, his dog run down the street and his puppy's gone. He gonna go get his puppies. You know what I'm saying? I'm messing with you there with your back. But you gonna go get your puppies. Same way Yahusha said, if something like that emergency, you would go do it. You know, and so how much more with us? You think our bodies, like the elders, like the disciples plucking ears and corn off the trees and off the plant, we are more valuable for that. All right, I'm not going to be long on Shabbat day. Let's go to, let's stay in the New Testament today. Let's go to Romans chapter 7. Again, we're on Shabbat.
What chapter?
Chapter 7. Last verse on chapter 6, verse 23. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of Yah is eternal life through Yeshua the Messiah, our Elohim. The wages of sin is death. All right. Get chapter 6, verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Verse 2, Yah forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any more longer therein? Should be dead to sin. Should we continue in sin that grace may abound? Same thing, keeping the Shabbat. Should we continue in sin that grace may abound? Yah forbid. Now, if you know understanding about Shabbat, you need to be keeping Shabbat. Because Yahuwah comes to everybody and gives everybody understanding. When you know it's right, should you continue in sin that grace may abound? Yah forbid. Yah forbid. You already got the understanding. You know, like we said, we do things ignorant that we do not know. We are sinning. But Yahuwah loves us so much that he'll get our attention. He's going to send a man of Yah to you, or he going himself will show you. He come to you in a dream, tell you what you're doing. If you don't get that dream, he's going to send you a man of Yah to you, or you might hear it through the word. He's going to let you know that you know. But it's up to you to repent and turn. All right. I think it's verse 7. Chapter 7, verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Yah forbid. Nay, I have not known sin but by the law, for I have not known lust, except that the law has said, thou shalt not covet. For sin taken occasion by the commandments, wrought in me in all manner of covetousness. For without the law, sin was dead. For I was alive without the law once, but when the commandments came, sin revived, and I died. And the commandments which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death. For sin taking occasion by the commandment deceiving, and by its looting. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandments holy, and just and good. And I like that in verse 12. The law is holy. When something is holy, it means sanctified, set apart. And the commandments holy. The commandments are holy. Then he says, and just and good. So the Shabbat day is holy. The law is holy. The Sabbath day is just and good. Well, how is it just and good? I love it. I tell you, TV land, I tell everybody, man, I love the Shabbat day, just and good. It do me good to come here on like I said, we were laughing last night, man. My knee was hurting. Satan was telling me, man, why don't you cop out, man? What you gonna tell Richard to take you home? You know, Fabian got this. You know, that was a quick way out. You know what I'm saying? You know, your knee hurting, man. You're tired. You went all day, busy day. Man, once you go home, Fabian got this. Oh, I rebuke that. Because I know the Shabbat day is just and good. It did me good to finish this off. It felt good to hear about being deceived and watch out how priests could deceive you, men and women, how men and women could deceive you, how they could change the word and get you off your path or living for Yahuwah, how they could deceive. I got to get that back to my ear. That's just and good. The Shabbat day is just and good for me to be here for my soul. Not for everybody else. This is for my soul. That's how it's just and good. The commandments is Kaddish, holy. How is Kaddish and holy is you hearing the words from the Most High Yah. The one that said, the one you say you love. That's who you listening to. That's why it's so Kaddish. Because his words is coming from him. Yeah, it might be coming out of Minister Fabian's mouth, but that's Yah's word. He's just a messenger. He's just using him clay of dirt. He's just a clay of dirt, you know what I'm saying, with a voice. Y'all just straight using it. So to come out to hear, so I can hear. So that's why it's just and good. It was good for us to be here, just like the day. Everybody understand the Shabbat day. When you come together in unity, he's in the midst. And he commanded this day for us to worship. That's why it's just and good. I'm not out there going to Walmart, Kmart, the other stores, retail stores, and doing my own thing, fishing. It's warming up out there. You know, I take time to give praise to Yah first on Shabbat day as he commanded us. That is good because I was obedient to him. That's what Yah loved. Yah wanted obedience better than sacrifice. He ready for you to be obedient to him. If I'm doing everything else, that means I'm serving some kind of idol, some other god. Something when you put anything before Yahuwah, it's an idol, it's a god, automatic. It tells him that you love that thing more than you love Yahuwah. That's automatic. That's what you're telling him. Your actions are showing that. Your words done spoke that. Your thoughts, you already know your thoughts from afar off, so your thoughts are right there already in your mind. He knows that already. Yahuwah knows everything already. He's waiting to see which way you're going. Like, Mr. Faye, you hitting all spots. I'm using you today. You know what I'm saying? Talking about Adam and Eve. He watched Adam and Eve do all the things. He was right there when Satan was deceiving Eve, and he sat there. He didn't jump in there. He could have jumped in and gave judgment, but he waited. And then Eve bit the apple. Then Eve gave the apple to Adam, and Adam took the apple and ate it. Then they threw some fig leaves, because they was ashamed. Then y'all walked through the garden and called upon a name. He didn't say nothing, even though he already knew. Then he waited on them. Same with us right now. He ain't judging us right now. People don't understand, that's the grace of Yahuwah. The grace of Yeshua, that is the grace of Yeshua. That we're not dead right now. Everybody want to know why we saved by grace? That's the reason why we saved right now. Because there's no judgment yet. When you die, there's judgment. That's the grace of Yahusha. Every day you get up, the grace of Yahusha. Because you're still in your sin, and Yahuwah gives you a chance to repent and say, Yah, I'm sorry, forgive me, I don't commit a sin. I don't did this. Forgive me, Yahuwah. Wash my hands, cleanse me, and turn me from this. I don't want to do it no more. That's what Yahuwah is waiting. Before, like you said, he was waiting on them, and then came judgment. That's why the laws are Kaddish. They're holy. So you break the commandment, you don't broke a holy commandment. You broke something that's set apart. You broke something that is preserved for us. You broke something that he spoke out of his mouth. And again, you broke something that, remember, Yahuwah, he wrote that with his finger. He spoke it first, and then he put his initials on that board, the 2 tablets of stone he made from Moses, Musa. He wrote it. Then you're going to break down what Yahuwah said? Something wrong with you. I'm talking about he don't spoke it, and we say, yes, y'all. We tell Musa, don't let y'all speak to us unless we die. You speak to us. Then Musa said, you going to obey his commandments? Yes, we're going to obey. Yes. Then Musa went up there, man, came down 40 days and catch you up there with a calf. dancing around in orgies and everything else. Talking about Aaron said, I did it, do it, and this one came to calf. Aaron lying. Aaron was straight lying. Quick, because he know he was in trouble. But see, that they said it first, then Yahuwah wrote it second. And you going to continue sin like that? That's why I said it's Kaddish. Those commandments Kaddish. Even Yah. And Yah is Kaddish. And he wrote with his finger, that tab is Kaddish, man. He put his fingerprint on that. All right, a couple more scriptures we have. I can talk about this all day. Let's go to Mizrah, Acts chapter 13. Acts 13. Our pastor's mic to Minister Richard Harris that he will be speaking today. I wonder what y'all got him to speak today. I like that with both ministers, they're all secret. They ain't saying nothing, man. That's what it's supposed to be. You ain't supposed to say nothing. You know, because y'all can change it up anyway. You say something to me anyway, and y'all switch it up on you. And then you'd be like, you catch you lying, but you ain't lying. So Yahuwah gave you something else. All right. So we find the scripture, Acts chapter 13, verse 42. All right. Thank you, God. Let's go to verse 37. Oh, man. I said 42. Verse 42. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Shabbat. Now when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and the religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who speaking to them, persuaded them to continue in the grace of Yah. And the next Shabbat day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of Yah. There you go. And that the next Shabbat. They went on Sunday, went on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They waited for the next Shabbat to hear the davening. Why didn't Paul get with them Monday? Why did Paul get with them Tuesday? Because the Torah was spoke on the Shabbat day. The Gentiles, the Greeks were on outside. That's why they came up to Paul talking about grabbing his probably his skirt and shirt and saying, hey, Paul, man, why don't you preach these words to us on the next Shabbat, man? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. They was on the outside listening to the Mizrah of the Mashiach, the gospel. They heard it. You know, they couldn't go to the temple because it was unclean. So they were sitting on the outside. But they brought the whole city on the next Shabbat to hear what Paul had to say. But why did Paul talk to them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Why didn't they go talk to them on a Sunday? No. They waited 7 days because the Torah was spoken on the Shabbat day. And everybody came and heard that word. It had to be beautiful. Think about the whole city coming and sitting in to listen what Paul had to spoke. You know, awesome time. Awesome time. Let's go to about 3 more scriptures. I'm trying to get it quick. Mizrah, Acts chapter 17. Remember, I'm talking about the Shabbat day in the New Testament. And I'm trying to tell you, this is dealing with Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul kept the Shabbat. Verse 1, chapter 17. Now, when they had passed through Amphipolis and Amphipholia, they came to Thessalonica, where was a synagogue of the Jews. And Paul, as his manner was, went into them. And 3 Shabbat days reasoned with them out of the scriptures, opening and acknowledging that Messiah must need have suffered and risen again from the dead, and that this Yahusha, whom I preach unto you, is the Messiah. There you go. As his manner was. Paul, as his manner was, verse 2, went into them, and 3 Shabbat days reasoned with them out of the scriptures. Manner. And as Yah manner is, you know, not like that. We was talking about the other day, I was reading some scripture as Yah manner. What you mean by manner? It's custom. You know, this is Paul. Y'all forget, Apostle Paul is a Jew, man. He more Jew than Gentile. He preached to the Gentiles because he was. That was his mission. That's what Yahuwah gave him. His calling was to preach, but he didn't change who he was. Everybody here forget about everybody else keep on thinking that he's a Gentile, man. No, he was sent to go preach to the Gentiles. That means he did not change his manner. He kept the Shabbat day. Apostle Paul was faithful in keeping. He kept the Shabbat day and he kept the feast day. He was faithful. The reason why he's so faithful to feast days because he wouldn't got hemmed up on the feast day, knowing that's how Yahuwah knew how he would get him. The dude to continue to go to Rome. See, y'all told him that he was going to Rome, but Paul did not know how he was going to go to Rome. Y'all knew he was going to be faithful to the feast days. He was going to be at a certain point at a certain time. That's how Yahuwah got him. It wasn't nothing bad about that, but that's how y'all got him because he was faithful. That's how y'all get us, man. When he know you're going to be faithful, that's how he gets you to do things for him, what need to be done, because he knows you're always faithful in a certain area. If you're not faithful in a certain area, he cannot use you anyway. Just like you come to the house of Yah. You know, every individual right here are faithful coming to the house of Yah unless something happens. So while you come to the house of Yah, he going to get you doing something knowing that you're going to be here. You don't know what y'all got you a plan on, but y'all will use you in different manners, man. He got me a couple of times. I don't know that, but he knows that I'm going to be here at a certain time. You know, he knows I'm going to be here from 11:30 to 2 to 3 o'clock. He knows I'm going to get here. Usually I get here before here, about 9:30, 10 o'clock. He knows I'm going to be here. From that time, Yahuwah is going to use me, just like at that time he used Apostle Paul. You know what I'm saying? At the time we went in the feast days. He knew he was going there. And what was it, Apostle James talking about they're going to do a ceremony that everybody had to cut their hair off and everything. And he said, well, it'd be good that you cut your hair off, that they'll know that you do obey the laws. Okay, Apostle Paul said, yeah, I'll do that. While he was doing all that stuff, they said, that's the dude, man, want to change the laws and all that stuff. They hid him up right then and there because y'all knew that's what he was going to be at. Same here. That's why I say these things that TV land that y'all forget. That the Gentiles, that y'all forget that Apostle Paul, he was Jew first. Y'all forget too, the gospel of the Messiah came to the Jew first and also to the Gentiles. It came to us first. Then it came to the Gentiles. All right, two more. 18, verse 1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born of Pontus. This lady came from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them. And because he was of the same craft, he devoted with them and wrought, for by their occupation they were tent makers. And he reasoned in the synagogue, there you go, and he reasoned in the synagogue every Shabbat day, and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. There you go. I like that where he reasoned every day, every Shabbat day. If he reasoned every Shabbat day, and they was in Corinth, we already know that Paul stayed in Corinth in his ministry for a year and a half. For a year and a half. If you're in your theology schools and you're studying about the missionary of Apostle Paul and how long was he in different areas, he was in Corinth for about a year and a half. So if he's in Corinth about a year and a half, he's hitting every Shabbat day for a year and a half. Don't tell me that he wasn't. He says every Shabbat day. All right, Deuteronomy, last one. Deuteronomy chapter 5. Verse 12. Keep the Shabbat day and sanctify it as Elohim your Yah has commanded you. 6 days shalt thou honor, labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Elohim your Yah. And then you shalt do any work, you nor your sons, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger that is within thy gates, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest as well as you. And remember that you was a servant in the land of Mizraim, and that Elohim your Yah brought thee out thence. through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore, Elohim your Yah commanded you to keep the Shabbat day. It says, therefore, Elohim your Yah command you to keep the Shabbat day. Elohim your Yah commanded you. Shabbat is command, is the order. Shabbat? Alright, that is a Shabbat day scriptures in the New Testament. So I'm trying to tell you, TV Land, they kept the Shabbat in the New Testament. You know, they changed the Shabbat day from, where was it? March the 7th, 321 AD by Constantine, Emperor Constantine. That's when they changed the law, statutes, commandments of Yahuwah. They changed Shabbat from Shabbat to a Sunday. That's when they made everybody worship on a Sunday. If you didn't worship on a Sunday, you would have got beheaded, you would have got excommunicated, you probably lost your land. If you was like what was those guys, man, that own lands? Barons. Land barons, all that. They won't give that up. They'll have money, man. Your rulership, if you're a duke or anything else, man, you will have lost all that. So they made everybody worship on a Sunday. And then after that, we talk about traditions. Think about each generation, you've been worshiping on a Sunday, then you know to worship on a Sunday. But you was taught to worship on a Sunday. Because it's natural for you to worship on a Sunday. That's why it's hard for you to worship on a Shabbat day, because you're accustomed to a Sunday. Because you was taught that. Alright? Okay. Again, I thank everybody for being in the house of Yah to hear me out on a Shabbat day. Now we're moving to the next order of service. We have Minister Richard Harrison. He will be speaking for us today on Shabbat day. You ready, brother? Come forward. All right. You gotta get yourself together. I like that. Huh? I am. I did, man. Yes, the weather is dropping because it's getting colder here. I'm about to get up and change that heat a little bit. Look at Mama with her hands. Mom, you cold? All right, here you go.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All praises to
the Most High.
Most High, y'all. Being in the house once again. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to be in the house and being amongst the brother and sister in the house. And like the bishop was saying, I didn't get the message that was brought to me this week by y'all. It was kind of piggyback off the message I spoke about last week. Be holy, for thou art holy.
Yes.
And this is like a carry on forward of that. And the message today is must be born of water and spirit, as the bishop always says when he gives his proclamation of El Bethel and what they believe in. And Yahushua said, must be born of water and spirit. He told Nicodemus that in John, and we'll read that shortly. And being born of water and spirit is also, like I said, being holy, is a cleansing and being full of the spirit. And when Yahushua said that for him, because it's one of the things that, when Nicodemus came to him, asking the questions about him, he was really telling him how to gain access to the kingdom, which was really what Nicodemus was trying to find out, was why this new person on the scene was why you make you so different. He's trying to gain some trade secrets on what how you got what you got. And Yahushua just told him, he said, you must be born of water and spirit. And like Nicodemus and like so many of us, we were so prideful into our own way that he really didn't get it. And then that's why Yahushua said, if you don't come to as a child to the kingdom, you won't get it, because you got yourself already prided, you got yourself so full of knowledge, you have to deprogram yourself and learn some things. And most of the Pharisees and Sadducees at that time were already so filled up with their own religion that they wasn't going to get anything that Yahushua said. That's why they tried to do away with them, because he was actually the Word. So I'm going to start off with the sermon. And what I always like to do, I like to go to where it all began, and that's the Old Testament. Well, first, let's go to John and actually read that. John chapter 3, verse 3 and 7. Let's go and actually read what happened on that fateful night where Nicodemus, I call it creeping, because Nicodemus, he didn't come to any other time. He came to him at night and to talk to Yahushua because he was kind of scared to be seen. And again, that's like, sometimes that's like most of us when we don't know the truth, or we don't want to know the truth, or we're scared that somebody's going to say something about us, like even about things of this speaking coming on the Sabbath. We don't want to be seen because we don't want our friends to know that we are thinking about some other things. So we're going to start with verse 1. Let's start with verse 1. John chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. And there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus. Sorry about that. Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Yahushua by night. Like I said, he came by night because he didn't want to see his comrades to see that he's going to talk to Yahushua, because he's already named an outcast, already called the devil already, or Satan, and he was already named the enemy. So the same came to Yahushua by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher and come from Yah, for no man can do these miracles that thou doest except Yah be with him. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yah. And Nicodemus said unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? I know my mom wouldn't like that too much. Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of Yah. Then which is born of flesh is flesh, and then which is born of the spirit is spirit. Marvel not, I said unto thee, ye must be born again. And I like this because, like I said, we know that being born of the water and spirit means birth or a change or a cleansing of sorts. We know that now because we've been into the Word. But Nicodemus didn't know that. That's why Yahushua said, Verily, verily, I say unto you. When he says, you see that verily, verily, he said it twice. That means he said, listen up closely. He said, I say unto you, except a man be born again, he cannot enter and see the kingdom of Yah. Which was what he's saying is, he was saying you won't even, like the bishop said, you won't even go to, you see the kingdom up there after death, or you won't understand it right now at this very moment. Which he was, Yahushua was saying, he's saying that you are so filled with these other things, you're not even going to understand what I'm talking to you right now. And so he was calling Nicodemus out, which Nicodemus already proved himself when he started asking all these questions. Can a man enter his mother a second time? He was already far gone. He done lost, Yahushua done lost him right there. Because he said, he just told him, you must be born again. You must be born of water and spirit. If you don't have that spirit in you of Yah, then you won't understand, you won't get what I'm trying to tell you. And as we know from the New Testament, the Pharisees and Sadducees got it, and that's why they had to do away with them. Yahushua was foretelling of his plan of salvation right there at time to Nicodemus. By his admission when he's saying you must be cleansed with water and the spirit. But of course Nicodemus didn't get that. What Yahushua was saying was he was foretelling of his salvation plan by Yah, saying, I'm going to cleanse you with my blood, and then I'm going to give up my spirit. So you know he was a sacrificial lamb, so on the cross he hung, he spilled his blood, and then he said, Father, unto you I commend my spirit. So that was, again, a water. Remember, water and blood came out of his side. Right. So there was water, and then that was the spirit. And all through the beginning of time was a combination of water and spirit. It wasn't a new thing. And like I realized doing my studies in the sermons is that Yah doesn't do everything. Yah's not complicated. He didn't make this thing complicated for us, even the salvation. His blueprint, his master plan was simple for him because he's Yah. But everything is always the same. Even from the beginning of time in Genesis, the blueprint of salvation was always there, and it always had it in its mind. When I say beginning of time, because you know that Yah is not, it has no time. His time's endless, it's effortless. But when the beginning of time, when he made the earth, that's when time began. So that's when his plan of salvation began, because he knew that man was going to fall. Let's go to Genesis. Like I said, I like to go to Genesis, where it all began. I say, where the beginning of life, creation, and also the fall of man and the beginning of sin. And as I said, Yahweh's master plan of salvation was blueprinted in the beginning of time. And throughout the scripture, the Holy Scriptures, there's always the recurring theme of water and spirit. So whenever Yahushua came on the scene, he was the Word, but he was in the beginning of time. He also made creation. So everything that he said in the New Testament was already done in the Old Testament. So it's nothing new. So there's nothing new underneath the sun. Like I said, water and spirit has always been together, and it's not a new thing. And Nicodemus thought it was something new. So y'all showed us as again that how we were to always be holy from the birth. Remember the last time I spoke was be holy for thou art holy. So this is, like I said, this is like a combination sermon going forward from what I spoke about. If we go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 through 8, and this is how it all began, the creation, and how y'all created the heavens and the earth, animals, man, land. In the beginning, y'all created the heaven and earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Yah moved upon the face of the waters. There it is, right there in chapter 1. We couldn't even get into 3 verses. There it is. The Spirit of Yah moved upon the face of the waters. And Yah said, let there be light, and there was light. And Yah said the light that was good, and Yah divided the light from the darkness. And Yah called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And Yah said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Yah made the firmament and divided the waters which under the firmament from the waters, and which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Now, what I like about this, like I said, in verse, they go back to verse 2, and it said, and the Spirit of Yah moved upon the face, and the Spirit of Yah moved upon the face of the waters. There again, you have that first occurrence of water and the Spirit. So they were like 2 and 2, like Batman and Robin, Candy and Lacey, peanut butter and jelly. So there's the first occurrence. You go to verse 21. And the Spirit of Yah moved that's verse 2, moved upon the face of the water. That was the first occurrence of water and spirit. And Yah was showing this methods of cleansing right there. Remember last week I talked about be holy for thou art holy? So right there you're seeing that Yah is doing something in his plan. His master plan is unfolding right there. He was showing his first occurrence of also cleansing. The Spirit moved with the water for a cleansing and a covering. Look at verse 6. And Yah said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And the firmament we know is the heavens. So water was in the heavens, covering the heavens, and covering the soon-to-be earth, and also the other waters. So again, the water was a main factor in being in creation. In verse 6, Yah used the water to cover the earth and the heavens. And what I realized, the Spirit dropped on me, the earth was being reborn. The earth was born. That's why you remember Yahushua said, be born of water and spirit. The earth was being born of water and spirit. So like I said, y'all was doing everything in Genesis. This was blueprint. So everything was, the foundation was laid right there. And the earth was immersed in the water. Y'all blessed it and sanctified the earth. He sanctified it. That means he cleansed it. That means the earth was the first thing to get baptized. First was the earth because it was covered with water. It was immersed with water. Amen. And important, and this is going to be important, and I'm going to show you right now of why, water, we said it must be born of water and spirit, because it was important, because it was important for us being man, because of the first man of Adam. Go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And I'm going to show you why the water and spirit was important to be covered on the earth first. Remember last week, I don't know if you hear it, I said, Yah does everything in order. He said there's perfect order in his plan and the way he does things. There's no confusion. Yeah, as you can see, first it was the earth, then it was the hands of animals, and then man. Everything is done in order. And this is why. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And the Elohim Yah formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. Adam was formed from the dust of the ground. And y'all breathed into his nostril, which we know is the spirit. So right, so y'all cleansed and sanctified the ground. Let's see, 2 chapters ago, remember the water covered the earth, and it was baptized. So y'all cleansed the ground first. So we cleansed the ground, then what came out of the ground? Adam was formed out of the ground. So there again, you see y'all using this master plan. He had sanctified the ground first before he made man. And that's why, like I said last week, we were made holy and Kaddish. And as you see why. The ground was baptized and made cleansed first. Then here comes Adam formed out of the ground. And then the spirit breathed into his nostril. Once again, you have water and spirit. Must be born of water and spirit. And this is what Yahushua was saying from the beginning, because he made Adam. And again, it's the same thing with the animals. Jump over to Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. Same thing. Out of the ground, Elohim Yah formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name of. And 19, out of the ground, Yah formed every beast out of the ground. Same with Adam, same with the beast. They were made out of the ground. And like I said, the ground, the earth, was covered with water. It was baptized. It was sanctified and holy by Yah. So again, we had that occurrence of water and spirit. And another an occurrence, like I said, is going all through the Old Testament. We have that water and spirit. And the second occurrence I wanted to talk about was with Noah. What we talk about the water. It's almost the same thing, the water and the earth. If you want to go to Genesis chapter 8, verses 1 and 2, and this is about the destruction of earth by water, but also we know this is also a cleansing. Genesis chapter 8, verses 1 and 2. And y'all remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And y'all made the wind to pass over the earth and the waters assuaged. The foundations also the deep and the windows of the heaven were stopped, and the rain from the heaven was restrained. And the waters returned off the earth continually. After the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 17th month. On the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, and which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also he sent forth a dove from him, to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot as she returned to him into the ark, for the water were on the face of the earth. And then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her into the ark. And then he stayed yet another 7 days. And again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. Now, again, as you see, the earth was covered with water like it was in Genesis. And the thing about it, the earth was covered with water because he was angry with how the world was with evil and sin. So what he had to do, he had to destroy the earth. He destroyed the earth with water. On the same token, what he had to do, reborn again. The earth was baptized again with water. He had to cleanse it. So what did he do again? With the water, he cleansed the earth and baptized it. And then after he had baptized it, he sanctified it again with the water. But as you see, look at verse 6. Noah sent a raven and a dove to see if the waters abated. Now, there's some symbolism going on here in this section right here. The raven, we know the raven is kind of a bird of a prey. It's like it eats, other things, dirty and detestable things. That symbolizes also like how man was in this. If you look at it, he sent out the raven first, just like he asked Adam to do all these things in the Genesis, but Adam failed because he had sinned. And then notice here, he didn't send the raven no more after the raven returned. Then what Noah did, he sent the dove. The dove represents the spirit. So what it's saying right here, that if you look at the symbolism, what man could do, then y'all sent for the spirit, which was Yahusha. He sent for the dove. The dove went out the first time and he couldn't find anything, or she couldn't find anything, and returned back to Noah. And then the second time the dove went out, then the dove came back with a peace offering, the olive leaf, which we know is the peace. So the spirit brought back peace to Noah, letting them know that everything was good. And that's y'all saying that he brought back the spirit out, and the spirit brings back peace. It's peace of the spirit. So once again, you have the sanctification of the water, and then the spirit goes out as in the dove and brings back peace to Noah. So then you have that combination of water and spirit. And in the raven, we know the raven, no good. Didn't do anything for us. And one thing I realized, and he said in the groups of 7, he sent out the raven in 7 days and came back and then sent out another 7 days. Right there, it depicted the Shabbat 7. He sent out for 7 days and it rested. On the 7th day, y'all made the days on the 7th day he rested on the Sabbath, and he sent it out again after the Sabbath. So Noah was recognizing this the Shabbat day on the 7th with the doves. Like I said, this is the washing of the sins of the earth that y'all was doing, and the continuous recurrence. It must be born of water, and must be born of the Spirit. And that's like I said, Yahusha kept saying this because it had meaning. And if you don't get this, then you will never see the kingdom of Yah. And it continue on in the Old Testament. Let's go to Exodus, where the beginning of the nations of the Israelites are being born of the water and spirit. And most of us already know when they crossed the Red Sea, that was their official baptism, crossing the Red Sea and going into the promised land, that Yah was baptizing them and cleansing them before they got to the promised land. Like I said, be holy for thou art holy, like I was talking about last week. That was Yah was cleansing the children of Israel, going through the walls, going through the high walls of water, and it walked on dry ground. He said, walking on dry ground, because the land was holy they were walking through, and they were being cleansed and baptized, and they didn't even know it. But of course, that was Yah's master plan. So if you want, let's go to Exodus chapter 14, verse 21 through 22. Exodus chapter 14, verse 21 and 22. And let me show you how the water and the spirit were both together on this one as well. Exodus chapter 14, verse 21 and 22. And it reads, "And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Elohim caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all the night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters divided." There you can talk about the waters divided as he did in Genesis. "And the children of Israel went to the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters and a wall unto them on the right and on their left." Like again, the children of Israel being baptized, going from one position to another. And y'all was baptizing and christening them and making them holy in Kadesh so they could go into the promised land. And let's jump over there to verse 26 to 31 and see how being born again in the water also washes away their sins. And Elohim said unto Moses, "Stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen." And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. And Elohim overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon the dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall upon them on their right hand and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw the great work that Elohim did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared Elohim and believed on Yah and his servant Moses. So once again, though, they walked across, got baptized and sanctified into the promised land, but on the same token, the waters came down on the Egyptians and all the chariots and Pharaoh. So that's showing that he washes away your sins, because the Egyptian was a symbolism. Again, we know that Egypt symbolizes sin, Pharaoh's sin, everything was Egypt was sin. So it showed that the water came crashing down on the Egyptian, washing away sin. Egypt is sin, so the water came down and washed away sin. And when the children of Israel walked across to the Red Sea to the other side, being reborn, regenerated, and of course, and the Spirit was with them, because we know the Spirit was the pillar of fire. He said the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. The pillar of fire stopped Egypt and Pharaoh in the tracks. The cloud moved over across to the promised land, so there you have your spirit, and there you have your water again. You must be reborn of water and spirit.
Mr. Richard, let's speak something real quick.
Yes.
For 1 Corinthians chapter 10, same scripture where you come at, it says, moreover, brethren, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Musa in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of the spiritual rock followed them, and the rock was the Mashiach. And that's the same that he's talking about as in the New Testament.
Okay, thank you for that. So everything's like I said, Yahushua, the New Testament, but everything's not new underneath the sun, coming from the Old Testament. But the same thing happened. Like I said, the Israelites were born in the water and were saved by Yah at the same time. Egypt was their sins. Sins got covered and washed away, and then washed away. Then they were reborn, and regenerated, and renewed and cleansed as they crossed over the Red Sea into the Promised Land. But again, the same thing happened. Once again, the same thing happened with Joshua and the people, the new generation. So we know that because of sin and because of their disbelief, that Moses and their generation did not pass over to the Promised Land. So the new generation, with Joshua and Caleb and the new generation, they passed over to the Promised Land across the Jordan River. And as again, once you cross over to a new thing, you have to be sanctified. You have to be sanctified and cleansed again. So y'all did the same thing with the children of Israel with Joshua, and they crossed over to the Jordan River. Almost the same exact thing as crossing the Red Sea. So if you want to turn over to Joshua chapter 4, verse 9 through 11. Like I said, y'all doesn't do anything complicated or new. Same thing he did in Genesis. He was doing the same thing he did in Exodus. Doing the same thing in Joshua. Same thing. It's all about being born of the water and the spirit, and the cleansing and the change. So Joshua chapter 4, verses 9 through 11. And it reads, and Joshua set up 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests were bare, the ark of the covenant stood, and they were there unto this day. For the priests which bare the ark stood in the midst of the Jordan, until everything was finished that Elohim commanded Joshua to speak unto the people, according to all that Moses commanded Joshua, and the people hasted and passed over. And it came to pass, when all the people were clean, passed over, that the ark of Elohim passed over, and the priests in the presence of the people. And the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh passed over the arm before the children of Israel, and Moses spake unto them. Let's jump over to Joshua chapter 4, verse 18. Verse 18 on down. And it came to pass when the priests that bare the ark of the covenant and Elohim came up out of the midst of the Jordan, and the soles of the priests' feet were lifted up into the dry land, and the waters of the Jordan returned unto their place. It's saying waters of the Jordan returned unto the place. That means the waters were separated because of the ark of the covenant was passing through. And that ark of the covenant, that's the spirit right there, and flowed over all its banks as they did before. And the people came up out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month and encamped in Gilgal in the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of the Jordan and did Joshua pitch in Gilgal. And he spake unto the children of Israel, saying, when your children shall ask their fathers in the time to come, saying, what mean these stones? Then ye shall let your children know, saying, Israel came over this Jordan on dry land. For Elohim your Yah dried up the waters of the Jordan from before you, until ye passed over, as Elohim your Yah did to the Red Sea, in which he dried up from before us, until we were gone over, that all the people of the earth might know that the hand of Yah that is mighty, and that you might fear Elohim your Yah forever. So it said right there in those two verses, 23 and 24, it was saying that Yah did the same thing he did it for your forefathers in Egypt, in the Red Sea. He did it again. He separated the water so you can pass through, so you can be baptized again, basically cleansed. Because remember, this is a new generation.